slams or a plot twist surprise. He tells it straight with no disguise. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. Begging for more. Begging for more. From action-packed fights to heartfelt scenes, he spills the tea on what it all means. No sugarcoat, no fluff, just the facts. Pat Sims keeps it real, cutting no slack. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. He's got the charm and the boldest stance, calls it like he sees it, not a second glance. Movies or matches or something brand new, if it's worth your time, he'll tell you the truth. Positively Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. He's got the charm and the boldest stance, calls it like he sees it, not a second glance. Movies or matches or something brand new, if it's worth your time, he'll tell you the truth. Positive Pat Sims, bringing the truth, breaking it down with the critic sleuth. From big screen dramas to wrestling roars, honest reviews, you'll be begging for more. Begging for more. Begging for more.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Positively Pat Sims, and you have reached our live, honest review right here on YouTube. And we are reviewing today a classic film, a film that goes all the way back to 1975. That's right, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary this year of an all-timer, folks. The Steven Spielberg classic that is Jaws. Now, a lot of you guys probably remember Jaws. A lot of you guys most likely have seen this film since you watched it as a kid and you've grown up with this film. And but one of the things I'm a little concerned about, and I'm seeing that it's happening again, and I don't understand why. So we're going to have to try and get this under control. But we do seem to be having some technical difficulties with our streams. And I'm not 100% sure why it's happening. But we are experiencing glitches in our streams where things just sort of stop. And I'm not 100% sure why. I'm not sure if it's because our internet connection is fine. So I'm not 100% sure what the cause of it is. Okay? So I keep looking at our output. You know, is it our bit rate? Are we sending too much? Are we sending too little? But we haven't really changed anything from what we did with the MacBook when we did our streams via the our MacBook. So I'm not sure, and I didn't really see any issues with our stream on Friday night when we did our Warriors Unleashed show. So guys, if you're watching us here on YouTube and you've joined us and you're looking at a honest review of Jaws, please bear with us. And if there's any technical problems, any technical glitches, please let us know about them in the live chat so that we can make sure that throughout this next coming week, we fix those problems. Because if you've seen any of our past shows, you know that we don't normally have those. All right, we have plenty of technical glitches throughout our time here since we started doing this, but one of the things that we've been trying to do is minimize those issues and problems, but then we've upgraded a very big part of our equipment this week, which is we now are operating off of a brand new iMac. Right, and this iMac is the latest model with the latest chipset, everything in it, and we have a strong internet connection here, so we shouldn't be having these issues, but for some reason we are. And again, I'm not sure if it's a small thing, if it's something that's going to happen rarely. And maybe there's just something I'm doing a little bit wrong and I got to fix that. But I promise you guys, if you see any problems, let us know. And what I will do for sure is I will make sure I spend the rest of this week researching those issues, taking care of those problems, and getting us back on track. The other thing I want to address is we are coming in a couple of hours later than we advertised. And the reason for that is we kind of got into a deal where we forgot what day today was, which means that today is the last Saturday for the Orange County Fair here in Southern California. And we had all agreed we were going to go on the last Saturday of the fair. And so we got to go. So as soon as we were done with this morning's Positively Pat Sims show, we banked it over to the OC Fair, had a great time, and I was keeping track of the time, and I noticed what time it was. So I got on my phone, and I updated the start time for this show, but apparently it didn't take, because when I got home and I started getting ready for the show at 6 o'clock, it still said 4. So my apologies again. And there's sometimes things happen that might be a little bit out of your control. But we do our best here. But every now and then things happen. So I thank you guys so much for your patience. I thank everybody for being a part of Honest Reviews here on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube page. It's just been a crazy day. Crazy day and a crazy weekend. Our Warriors Unleashed show on YouTube on Friday went great. Went absolutely great. I loved every second of it. I had so much fun inspiring and informing people. And if you missed it and you want to get started on a positive mental and physical and professional health, fitness, success journey, then you're going to want to check out Warriors Unleashed, our premiere episode where we talk about finding your why. And this morning on the Positively Pat Sims show, we were all about the world's dumbest inventions. And again, we had a lot of technical issues, so I will be going into that show tomorrow. I'll be editing out a big bulk of that show that's just almost unwatchable so that you guys can get over there and check it out and see the glitch minimal version of that. So, but what I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure we share this to our social media so that everybody that I can see this gets to see it. All right, so there we go. And we're all set. And I have noticed there's just a lot of things. I think it might be just the fact that we are streaming very high quality. And I think one of the things I'm going to have to do, unfortunately, just because we're going off Wi-Fi, maybe it's just we need to take the quality down to just straight HD. We are broadcasting in 4K. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the issue. And again, we're going to look into that for you guys, make sure we get that done. But let's get right into Jaws now. We've wasted enough time talking about all this stuff. Let's get into Jaws, which is the movie that pretty much kept me out of the ocean for some time, and still is a issue for me when it comes to the ocean here. Jaws played a pretty nice role in that. And we'll get into the main reasons why shortly. But, of course, the film was directed by the one and only, the great Steven Spielberg. Of course, you guys know him as the guy that directed 4 Indiana Jones films. He's also directed E.T., one of my most underrated movies, Hook. Steven Spielberg. He's done so many great films. Ready Player One, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan. I mean, Steven Spielberg is an incredible director and has done a lot of fantastic films. And without Jaws, we may not have gotten a lot of those films. Jaws really opened the door for Steven Spielberg to make some classic films because Jaws was successful. And Jaws did very, very well. We got a couple people in the chat here. Seth would like to see the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Honest reviewed as the TV show. And yes, we are going to be getting into television shows for Honest reviews. We're going to be reviewing a whole lot of different shows out there that I grew up on and things that I've watched. But I have to have seen them to review them. Otherwise, we're going to have to bring, maybe Seth would like to do his own honest review. I think Seth could do that. I agree with Seth. I think it's entirely possible that Seth could do an honest review of the Mighty Morphin Power. Now, would you do the original television show?
Yes.
Yes, he says. Yes, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yay, Jaws. And the Power Rangers are still going in one way, shape, or form, I believe.
Yes.
It's kind of like, any other big major property. They tend to have, your first show, your second generation, your third generation. I think what Seth is referring to here is what we would say like G1 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I think we need to do some Transformers stuff, but my dear wife is on there saying that's got to be the longest running show ever. No, absolutely not.
They're way more.
If it were one continuous show, if Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was one show that just kept going on and on, it still wouldn't be the longest running. The Simpsons is a much longer running show than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I would venture to say there's a few shows that probably have gone on longer than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it's a good run nonetheless. I'm not taking anything away from them. It has been fantastic. But we're talking about Jaws here. You're not going to turn honest reviews into honest off-track show, the off-topic show like the Positively Pat Sims show can be. But this film, Jaws, was based off of the book Jaws. A lot of people don't realize this, that Jaws is based on a book by author Peter Benchley, who does make an appearance in this film as a reporter on the beaches of Amity Island. So it is a book, and it's made by Universal, and the music, of course, is done by the incredible, the amazing John Williams. Of course, you know him from Star Wars, again, Indiana Jones, E.T. If George Lucas or Steven Spielberg made it, John Williams wrote the music for it. John Williams is absolutely incredible. You also know his theme very, very well from Superman. So John Williams, really, really good. The ratings on Jaws that I found here are really, really good. IMDb, the IMDb Internet Movie Database, for those of you that don't know what that stands for, is an 8.1 out of 10. Very high score there. Metascore rates it at an 87 out of 100. And Rotten Tomatoes, it's 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the highest scores you'll find. So things are looking up for the 50-year-old Jaws. The cast of this film is incredible as well. Murray Hamilton stars as the infamous mayor of Amityville, Mayor Vaughn, the man that every mayor has been compared to in movie history ever since. If a mayor makes a bad decision, they put him right up there with the mayor of Jaws. You never want to be compared to the mayor of Jaws because of your selfish ambition. It's all about the dollars. It's all about keeping Amityville open, or not Amityville, sorry, but Amity Island. It's all about keeping it opened because this is the biggest time of the year. Who cares about the safety of the people? But you watch the film, I have to kind of admit, there's a part of you that does kind of see where he's coming from on some of it. Where you're like, yeah, we can shut down the beaches, but for one shark that most likely is here and then probably went away, I could understand kind of the idea of without this big weekend, a lot of stores might lose out on a ton of money, all the tourism and everything else, and that could affect this small little beach town. You kind of get it in a sense as you get older. But at the end of the day, not the best dude in the film. Lorraine Gary is Ellen Brody, Sheriff Brody's wife. Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, who is our marine biologist, the expert in the film. He's the guy that figures out that this was no boating accident. This was a shark attack. Robert Shaw as Quint, the man who agrees to go out and catch this shark for a higher price range than the $3,000 that the Kittner boy's mother is putting out there for someone to catch the shark that killed her boy. Roy Schneider is our star of this film as the Chief Brody, who is conflicted throughout the whole film as he tries to figure out what is the right thing to do here. All he wants to do is what's right. And at every turn, there's somebody pulling him one direction. There's somebody pulling him another direction. And he has to find it within himself to make the right decision. And we follow this story with Chief Brody. And he's a very complex character. He's not just there making all the right decisions. He's questioning himself. He's making the wrong decisions. He's making the right decisions. He's conflicted because he hates the ocean. And yet he is the sheriff on an island. He's the chief on an island. And people even tell him, like, why would you take this job? And he says it's only an island if you look at it from the water. Which even the people in the movie didn't really get, right? But he's our hero. He's the guy we follow in the film. And basically, the plot of the film is a fairly simple one. A shark has come into the waters of Amity Island and is starting to attack people. And we start to lose a couple of people, and there's panic in the town, but not enough panic, apparently, to persuade people not to go to the beach. And after the people are still questioning because, what about all of the what about all the tourism? What about this? What about all the money that brings in? At what cost are we saving lives? Apparently is what we're talking about. And more people lose their lives and it finally pushes them to the point where, okay, now we've got to do something. And Quint, Hooper, and Brody all go out on Quint's boat to capture the shark. And this is where the movie goes from being kind of this mysterious thriller, almost horror type film, into being a lot more of an action adventure on the seas. We get some really poignant moments with our characters, some really deep moments with our characters. And out in the wide open ocean is where we get our first true reveal of the shark, our big full-on reveal of the shark. This is where the shark becomes more intense. You get to see the actual size of the thing. And it all builds towards our big climax. And it's a lot of excitement. But until you get to that point, the film feels a lot more like a horror film than it does a drama or action adventure. It feels like a drama horror, actually. Then it becomes this pirate adventure on the high seas. And you can actually hear that in John Williams' score, and he purposefully does that to where it plays into those horror elements of the music being deep and kind of doo-dum, doo-dum, doo-dum. And it's because there's mystery there. Where is this beast? We know it's there. We know it's lurking, but where is it? We can't see it, which is another brilliant aspect of the film. And then when we get out into the water and they're out hunting this shark, the music changes to feel more like the adventure film. But then when those terrifying moments hit and happen, it makes them all the more jarring, all the more startling. Again, great direction, great storytelling in this film. The characters, I think, are very, very well played. I don't really feel there's a bad casting in any of them. I love the way the characters interact, the way that Hooper interacts with everybody. He always seems to rub everybody a little bit the wrong way once in the film. Chief Brody is, again, just played so well by Roy Schneider. He's not the action hero like an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone would be in the 80s. This is the 70s. It's a different time. And our heroes weren't just, big muscular guys running out there and saving people. They had to make tough choices and tough decisions. There was a little bit more of a mental deal than it was the physical aspect of getting out there and shooting people up and all that kind of stuff. This was a different time. And of course, again, you can't forget about the mayor. The mayor of Amity Island that's only concerned with the financial aspects and windfalls of what it would mean to bring in all these tourists during the holidays, what it means in this busy season, and what it would mean for the city if you cut all that off. And at one point, they're like, yes, we're closing the beaches, and everyone gets upset. And what does the mayor do? He reacts, and he goes, just for 24 hours. And Brody's like, I didn't agree to that. We even get the mayor back for the second Jaws movie. But pretty crazy. The filmmaking and the direction here is spot on. And one of the things that I've got down here in my talking points here is that Steven Spielberg had one movie that he was going to make. And then when he got there and had all the problems that he had to either figure out how he was going to make the movie they were originally going to make, which I think would have been impossible in 1975, or they would have had to scrap the whole thing, or do exactly what he did. Which is make the decision to make the shark the unseen force, this unknown entity. It could have been anything. They could have turned this into an alien movie, for all we know. They could have turned this into a kraken. It didn't have to be a shark. But for a lot of the movie, you don't see what's doing all of this killing. You don't see what happens at the very beginning of the film when the girl runs out into the water and is swimming out in the water. All you see is a poor girl screaming, getting dragged from side to side, screaming in pain that it hurts, and she's just getting dragged around, getting dunked underwater, brought back up, and then drugged back down again to silence. No blood in that point. No, you don't see anything violent. It's just the violent image of a woman being thrashed back and forth that is more frightening to me than any overly violent shot of a shark jumping out of the water and engulfing the woman as was originally intended. And I don't think, Brucey the shark would have been able to pull that off anyway. So it's just incredible what Steven Spielberg was able to do with what he had to work with. The shark didn't work for the majority of the time. And when it did, it was, I think it still looks decent. All right. Now, a lot of young people might watch Jaws now and might think that it doesn't quite hold up anymore. They'll watch Jaws and they'll see that shark and that immediately kind of takes them out of the film. So for a lot of young people, the shark is a problem. I'm not going to deny that. But for most of us, by the time you see the shark, it doesn't matter that it doesn't look quite right, that there's something a little off about it. Because by the time you get that full reveal, you're engulfed and you're entrenched in what is a fantastic movie. And it's not till much later that Steven Spielberg gives you a pretty full look at the shark in the first place. He still, in those moments, gives you the less is more approach. All right? And, yes, the shark on set was Bruce. Bruce, the mechanical shark that they used, and you can still go to Universal Studios to this day. I believe you can still do it in Florida, but in Hollywood for sure. You can take the tram tour, and when you get to a certain spot, you get the Jaws experience where Jaws comes up right next to the boat, and it looks about as real as what Jaws looks like in the film. Which is nowadays not too impressive. When I was a kid, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. When I was like 8, 9 years old and we would go to Universal Studios Hollywood and that tram ride would come around and you'd pull up and the fisherman would be on the boat and Jaws would drag him under and you'd see the blood bubble up and then he would pop up right next to the tram. It was the coolest thing, man. It was the coolest thing until King Kong made his way to the Universal Studios tram ride. Then that became like the cool thing. I loved that. Loved the King Kong part of the tram ride. Seth says, until you watch it happen to Ace Ventura. Yes, I remember that. That was very, very funny. Again, you don't see the shark for very long, but they tease it consistently throughout. We don't see the actual violence of the shark killing the Kittner boy. But what we do see is the boy and his little raft thrashing around a little bit and a lot more blood than I remember. I rewatched Jaws just to kind of refresh myself on what happens because I haven't seen it in probably 2 or 3 years. And I don't remember there being that much blood in the Kittner boy scene. But there's a pretty decent amount there. And it's a very disturbing moment in the film, for sure. And there's another scene later on where this guy is saving one of the kids, and we get to see almost a reveal of the shark. It's still underwater. It's low enough to where you only see like a little bit of it as it grabs onto this guy and then drags him underwater. And that's your first kind of image of the shark. And it kind of reminds you like, oh, this thing's real. And there it was. Did you see it? Did you see it? And it's like, oh, like it's a blink and you'll miss a moment. We get the tease of the kids who tie, because this is how kids were in 1975 and how they still are today, the little punks. As they tied a fake fin to their backs and were swimming around the water, causing a panic on the beach, only for the real shark to arrive and do his damage. And, of course, we're taken out into the ocean, and Hooper, Brody, and Quint are out there, and this is when the big reveal happens. Brody is on the back of the boat, and he's throwing the chum out into the water. He's not even paying attention. He's complaining about having to do it. He's just moaning and crying, and he throws it out there, and right as he turns, here comes the shark popping out of the water, scares the crap out of him, freezes in that moment, just backs up, and in an ad-libbed line says to Quint, you're going to need a bigger boat. Now, I do have a problem with the line, and that is that the line is repeated multiple times after. It was a brilliant line in the moment, and I think someone told him it was a brilliant line in the moment, and he kept saying it. We're going to need a bigger boat, right? We're going to need a bigger boat. The moment should have been that one thing, that one time saying the line, and then be done with it. And then, let's move on with the film. The line's great one time. Move on. Brody got annoying when he said it again. Right? You have those guys in your life that do that. They say something, they get a reaction, so what do? They say it again and again and again and again. Right, Seth? Yeah. Seth knows all about that.
I think he's a great character.
Well, Brody is a great character. I'm just saying that one. This is just a nitpicky thing because this is an honest review, so I'm not going to leave out the things I didn't like. And yes, that's very nitpicky. But it is a part that I remember okay, let it go. You said the line. It's great. We all love it. It's plastered all over the place, everywhere. You want to talk about Jaws, you're going to need a bigger boat. And it's you're going to need a bigger boat. Not we need a bigger boat. You're going to need a bigger boat. He's talking to Quint. All right, that's the line. But it's a great line. It's an absolutely great line. Now, everything goes to hell in a handbasket for our heroes. They're all in peril. And I think that's so amazing how you question everybody. At one point, you kind of think that the shark's got the upper hand. The shark's going to win this thing. And he's going to swim off into the ocean, the hero of his film. The shark takes out Quint while destroying the boat. The sharks, we get the idea that maybe he also took out Hooper. And with the guy who's afraid of the water now sinking in a boat, he gets up on the crow's nest and he's got his gun in his hand. The shark's got the gas tank, the air tank, whatever it is he's got in his mouth. And he's got to get that right shot. Last second, boom, bam, the shark blows up. Huge explosion, dramatic explosion. Brody wins the day. His reaction is priceless. And then we do find out Hooper actually did survive, so it's kind of go home happy moment. Unfortunately, Quint did not. But great ending. Just a fantastic ending to the film. But again, it's like you're watching two different movies, which is it was such a great decision to change the whole kind of feel of the film. It's such a dramatic kind of thriller, kind of horror, and then it changes into this still dramatic, but more of an adventure type of film that has those kind of scares from time to time. And it's a movie that I think anybody, young or old, whether you like the shark, whether you don't like the shark, I think it's the movie itself is very, very good, and it's good enough to where you will always remember it. It's a memorable movie. It sticks in your head. Whether it's the opening scene, whether it's the Kittner boy, it could be the reveal of the shark as he's chumming, the line, "You're going to need a bigger boat." It could be Jaws swallowing Quint. It could be the final explosion of the shark. It could be the shark basically wrapped up in the shark cage as it's being taken down, which is actual legitimate footage of a shark breaking a shark cage. That was shot by actual nature filmmakers who were shooting sharks underwater, and they captured that footage, and it was used in Jaws. That's a real shark really getting caught up in a shark cage, and that's really incredible. I again don't find much fault in the shark. I think it's fine. I don't think it. I think it is a product of its time, and so I'm able to look at it a little bit different. I'm not overly critical of it. If I were a younger person, I might look at it a little bit different. Again, I can understand my sons looking at Jaws and getting to the big reveal and going, okay, that was a fake shark. As the shark is eating Quint, it's not terrifying because you're looking at, that's definitely a fake shark eating a guy. That's a choice. But sometimes we're a little bit kinder to older films because that's the best they had. Star Wars changed the game in special effects. But that was still 2 years away. And even then, it took a long time for Hollywood to really get on the game when it came to making films look as incredible as they did. I honestly think the film business peaked in terms of special effects in the mid 90s, like 96, somewhere around there, with Jurassic Park. And then, like I said, kind of peaked around the end of the Infinity Saga of Marvel. You know, Man of Steel, I thought looked great. The Snyderverse, I think, looks great. I thought all the Star Wars prequels looked great. There's a lot of stuff that looked really, really good that still holds up to this day. And there's a lot of stuff coming out currently that I think looks horrible. That now we're at a point where we went from, so what happened in the movie, we went from practical effects looking rough, but doing their best, and you got to applaud the work ethic, and you got to applaud the work. And that got better over time. And the bigger the budget, the better the effect. That was how things worked, right? Then we got brought in computer effects, CGI. And things went to a whole nother level. And again, it was the bigger the budget, the better the look of your special effects. That's the way it's supposed to be. And for some reason, over about the last, 5 or 6 years, all we've been seeing are these really high budget movies, and they're spending nickel and dimes seemingly on their special effects. Because if they're paying that kind of money for the effects that they're getting, then we got a problem in Hollywood. All right, and I'm looking at Marvel, I'm looking at DC. I'm sorry, I still can't put Superman up against Man of Steel and go, Superman came out over 10 years later and looks so much better. No. Can't convince me of that. You can't tell me that Thor Love and Thunder, which happened after Endgame, looks better than Endgame. Nope. We got a problem in Hollywood. Yeah, going off on a little rant here during my Jaws thing. So, getting back on track here, let me give you my scores, my final thoughts and opinions about this classic film, Jaws. So my score on a scale of 1 to 10, Jaws is a solid 9. All right, not the best movie ever. It's not a 10, but it's a solid 9 from Positively Pat Sims. My grade is an A. All right, my favorite movies, the best movies ever are A pluses, but this is an A. I can sit down and watch Jaws, be thoroughly entertained however I want. If I want a good scare, Jaws can do the trick. If I want adventure, Jaws can do the trick. If I want drama, Jaws will do the trick. There's even a little bit of comedy thrown in there from time to time. Comedy that actually works. And this is my recommendation. It is a must-see. It has everything from drama to horror to adventure and more. There is something for everyone to enjoy, even though some will think that the shark looks pretty rough up close compared to effects since 1975. But it's definitely a film I think everyone needs to see at least once in their life. That is definitely a bucket list film. If you have not seen it, check it out for sure. I'm sure it's on a streaming platform. I know for a while it was on Peacock. It may still be, considering that Peacock is a Universal-owned streaming service. So the chances of Jaws being there are pretty good, but I don't know for sure. Especially depending on when you see this. I can't say for sure when it's going to be there. But those are my recommendations for the all-time classic Jaws. Guys, there's a couple things I want to run by you here. See, this show we're not sponsored by anybody. We don't get paid to do this show, none of that stuff. We do this for you guys. We just have fun. I like doing it. I like being on here with you guys. I like interacting with you guys in the live chat. But we were at the Orange County Fair today, and I made a little promise to some guys because we buy from them the last 2 years some really great seasonings and sauces for your barbecues, your steaks, your meats, your chicken, all that stuff. And they have this really incredible Reaper habanero sauce that is absolutely incredible tasting and has that nice kick you're looking for. And they are the Redbeards. All right. And getredbeards.com. Go to Instagram and look up Get Redbeards. Head on over there. And right here, all right, I'm going to give you guys this information right here on our show. Get over to getredbeards.com. That's GETREDBEARDS. Getredbeards.com. And give them the promo code MAKESITBETTER. And receive 10% off your next order from them. They've got a few new products, some hot sauces, great seasonings like we talked about. So we are a big fan. And so at no charge to them, we are promoting Redbeard's sauces and seasonings right here on Positively Pat Sims Honest Reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure being with you here today. I am dead tired. I took a slight kind of off and on nap there when we got back before doing the show, but I am ready to crash and just hang out with my family. So I hope you're having a great weekend. You have a great rest of your weekend. And if you want something really cool, if you're shopping for people, for birthdays, holidays, whatever the case may be, head on over to positivelypatsims.printful.me right now and pick up your Positively Pat Sims products, including Honest Reviews products, the Positively Pat Sims Show, and coming soon this week will be some of our Warriors Unleashed products that you'll be able to pick up. And very cool here, the first 100 orders that we get, you will get a special gift from me, Positively Pat Sims. So get over there today, place your orders, and enjoy our Positively Pat Sims merch. All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click that little bell to follow us. We are always live every Saturday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern for the Positively Pat Sims show. And Fridays, we've kind of nailed it down now. 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We will be live either doing Warriors Unleashed or Honest Reviews, but that time slot is official. All right? So look for one of those two shows, and we're also potentially looking at adding a fourth. My son and I talked about perhaps reigniting an old YouTube show from our past, but doing it the way we always wanted to, and that is our collector's show, where we're going to show you some of our favorites from our collection. Seth can do the same. We'll get guests remotely from other places who can also show you some of their coolest stuff. It's going to be a blast if we do it. All right, so stay tuned. If you guys want to see it, let us know in the comments. Let us know on social media. What movies do you want to see us review on this show in the future? All you got to do is tell us in the comments section, and we'll make sure that that is done in one of our future shows. All right, guys, this has been another fun episode of Honest Reviews with Positively Pat Sims right here on YouTube. I want to thank everyone for jumping on and joining us. Paranormal Activity, yes. Yes, yes, yes. One of the things I think we will have to do at one point is do what we call a super mega episode and do an honest review of a series of films, which I know we kind of do on our Positively Pat Sims show. But with the honest reviews, we can get in depth on just the film itself, the filmmaking process, all of it, the characters. Really go a little bit more in depth and do a full series like Saw, Paranormal Activity, Pirates of the Caribbean, Star Wars. Or we might just go one movie at a time. That might be a little bit easier. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But guys, again, we love you. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time here on Positively Pat Sims Honest Reviews. So until then, take it easy. And if it's easy, take it twice. So long, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week.
The lights are dim, but the room still hums with the echoes of laughter and the moments we spun. Every honest word is like a stone in a stream. It rippled, it lingered, it shaped our dream. And if you ever wonder where I'll be, look to the screen, I'll be there, you'll see. Goodbye to the faces that stayed in the glow. Goodbye to the voices I always know. This isn't an And